the 12th of September 2025. The South China Sea lies in silence before the storm. From the east, a Chinese fleet advanced 6,500 tons of steel and firepower. 6 destroyers, 4 frigates, and a carrier Predators circling their prey. Their target, the Freedom Rig, America's lifeline in Asia. At 3:00 a.m., the first missiles streaked into the night. 5 electronic warfare planes followed, flooding the spectrum. 120 gigawatts of power, enough to blind American radars. 10 Chinese bombers roared low, carrying city-killing firepower. Inside the Freedom Rig, chaos threatened, but one order cut through. Switch to manual. Fight by hand. The impossible defense begins. At 3:01 a.m., the first missile tore toward the garrison. Private Sanchez spotted it, just 22 years old. A Stinger missile barketh 4 David against Goliath. Explosion lit the sky, a Chinese missile erased. 9 of 10 missiles destroyed against impossible odds. 7 of 10 bombers became burning wreckage in the sea. Manual defense, an invisible wall against the storm. But one missile broke through closer than anyone dreamed. The blast shook the rig's sandbags, ripped windows, shattered. 5 Marines injured, 1 scarred, forever a price for survival. China's $500 strike ended in failure and fury. In Washington, anger turned to inevitability, retaliation. Submarines lurked beneath the Philippine Trench. 20 Tomahawk missiles armed, awaiting the signal. From Guam, growlers took flight, spreading electronic chaos. Overhead, 300 drones swarmed like a living cloud of fire. At 4:00 a.m., thunder from the deep, the retaliation began. Chinese radars faltered, drowned in jamming signals. Drones plunged onto turrets, tearing defenses apart. Within minutes, a Chinese destroyer erupted in fire and fury. U.S. missiles rained down the sea, turned into fire. China fired lasers and missiles, desperately fighting back. But numbers overwhelmed, the drones could not be stopped. Turrets shredded radar arrays, silenced one by one. Then came the hammer ballistic missiles at Mach 5. One slammed into a frigate, tearing it in half. Survivors leapt into burning seas, clinging to debris. Tomahawk struck the Shandong, igniting its flight deck. 60,000 gallons of fuel turned into a firestorm. By dawn, the pride of Beijing bled fire across the sea. 2 destroyers crippled. 1 frigate sunk, the fleet in chaos. The carrier Shandong, Beijing's pride, was bleeding fire. America had not survived the ambush, it had reversed it. By 5:00 a.m., the South China Sea had become a graveyard. The Shandong burned its steel buckling under 2,000 degrees. Commanders had no choice, abandoned ship. Over 100 drones had pierced the fleet's heart. 2 destroyers listed, heavily gutted by internal explosions. 1 more frigate lay, shattered engines, dead in the water. Beijing's pride lay crippled, the balance of power broken. The South China Sea was no longer a battlefield, it was a graveyard. Wreckage of 30 fighters burned, worth billions in ash. Heat reached 2000 degrees, steel bent like paper. Command collapsed, orders lost in chaos and flames. 1 destroyer gutted by a blast equal to 200 tons of TNT. Another lay dead in the water, engines shredded. By 5:59, the carrier was crippled, command gone. Survivors clung to lifeboats, watching their fleet burn. Casualties mounted, over 1,200 dead within minutes. The balance of power had shifted, Asia watched in silence. Beijing had gambled on humiliation, yet suffered ruin. For Washington, this was no longer defense, it was dominance. Pentagon declared America does not start wars, but it will finish them. The Dragon fleet had fallen, its fire drowned in the sea. Asia's balance of power had shifted, perhaps forever. China's most advanced warships drifted as wrecks in silence. Washington had proven its resolve, technology may falter, but will endures. 5 Marines were injured, 1 scarred forever. For Beijing, the lesson was brutal aggression invited ruin. For the world, the message was unmistakable, America prevailed. The night had ended China's naval ambitions, or had it? Strategists feared this was only the first storm. For America, survival had turned into proof of power. Against 7 billion in ships, America still prevailed. 5 Marines bore scars, living symbols of sacrifice. Technology faltered, but human will never bent. Beijing's fleet lay broken, a warning carved into history. The South China Sea had spoken, power is earned, not seized. Freedom Rig still stood scarred but unbroken. For America, it was not just survival, it was supremacy. The wrecks of China's fleet drifted in silence, oil slicks stretching miles. The South China Sea was no longer Beijing's chessboard. It became a reminder of hard power, steel, fire, and will. Even under blackout, America fought, adapted, and prevailed. Against 500 million in munitions, American resolve stood unbroken. For Beijing, this was more than a loss, it was humiliation. For the world, the message was unmistakable power belongs to those who endure. This was not just survival, it was supremacy. The Dragon Fleet lay broken. America's resolve stood eternal. The South China Sea had chosen its victor, forever remembered in fire.